Alright everyone, Supreme Kami here, so gonna be doing the Alteration review for the latest and the last Destiny Gundam here. So I'm not gonna be doing like a full-on summoning video, just because of the fact that this is not a completely brand new unit. So in terms of what I really want from this banner, all I'm pretty much hunting is just the L badges. If I don't get any part within this fight multi-summon whatsoever, I'm not really gonna mind it. Simply just trying to stack up those L badges, so eventually, like later down the road, for some reason, right? If we can get those Ultra Banner, for example, and I can put apart, that's great. If not, that's completely fine. Okay, getting shafted. The game definitely hurt me. It's like you only want L badges. I got you. So this is what you are gonna be getting. So okay, so okay. So it looks like we are getting something. So in terms of overall of this big scale Destiny Kingdom, overall stat I would have to say is definitely monstrous. So I think pretty much anything that released like quote unquote brand new up like that week, for example, definitely packed some high stats. Overall portrait I would say is fairly balanced. You do have a little bit of everything. You got some power boosting, you have some enemy power reduction types. So kind of keep that in mind. This game is purely, it's like a PvE base. So if you're looking at investing into those let's say enemy reduction power types, kind of, we got the shield. We are in business, boys. She was probably, I would have to say, it's a decently part for a melee build. So we'll definitely get into, overall side is good in that shield, but portrait, they definitely throw us a curveball. It's like a love and hate kind of situation. Because like they were trying to they were outright trying to dethrone my boy the Cosmo Shield, but they were not successful. So unfortunately, but yeah, this overall portrait, you just have a little bit of mixed everything. Portrait, or in terms of the war tag, we still cannot get pro tag. Like I really don't know what's going on. They pack us with like for urban area. So I was like, wow, that was, yeah, that was the two, in my opinion, the best two parts they throw in like a for urban area. I'm just like, man, that's rough. Trying to get a perfect sub slot is definitely going to be a little bit tough, unfortunately, but we can definitely manage. Can we? Oh, we got the backpack, huh? I thought that was the arm. Backpack is not that bad, honestly. We got another one. Oh, we got the sword. The sword is definitely another great kind of oh wow, we got the leg. I thought that was gonna be gold. I would have screamed, man. I would literally scream. So 3 parts, 3 in 1. Can we top things up with maybe the arm for the pure content purposes, Oh no, the game was like, nope, we are cutting you off right there. So not bad, I guess, but I was trying to eyeball that. Like honestly, guys, I was trying to get that arm because the arm is crazy. Stat right now is like literally 1,000 like stat points higher than some of something that came out like probably 2 weeks ago, 2, 3, 4 weeks ago. So let's kind of jump straight into the alteration page and just kind of talk about how good this unit is. So to start things off, in terms of this Destiny, this is the last iteration of it. So in terms of the other Destiny, we have the S attribute. So that, like, why is this one even in here? Because this one is a build project, so eventually a lot of people will be able to either get the full set, need the full set whatsoever. So this is definitely going to be with time due, for example, you guys will be able to get that. And then in terms of the overall war tags, you can kind of like, let's say you have this one, right? Let's say you talk about the head part, you have the Destiny head, and what can you do? You can access the SHB word tag for example, but they are listed as the same thing, so it doesn't really matter because they don't care about putting in pro tags. So that was the unfortunate factor. So yeah, start things off. This one's going to be a tag attribute, big scale. This one's going to be a melee centric build. So if you guys are not going for like a melee build, you guys are like a shooting based build guy or girl, whatsoever, definitely this is going to be a hot skip for you guys. But for those that are trying to kind of like further increase whatever build they're going for, looking for new parts for the build, this could be something that you want to look into, I would have to say. To start things off, I think the head part is definitely a very good part to look at. This one is going to be a double 40% trait. So I guess the last double 40% trait we got was actually It's not even that long ago. We have this one, the horror. This one is actually not too terrible. I guess, you know, in terms of the condition, it really comes down to like what your build is capable of doing. I would have to say the best option is definitely the Ashma Origin, just because Pro Tag is seemingly like a melee tag that you would be running anyways, while close combat, high mobility, or what is it at? The high mobility, not that they're bad, but they can definitely be replaced by, let's say, mobile fighter. They can definitely be replaced by, let's say, even high firepower. So my build personally right now, I can't really run either or, like these two specifically, I can't run them. So the last thing I can, last resort is maybe go for this one if I needed something. So at the end of the day, if you guys can fulfill protect, or excuse me, close combat, this one is definitely something you can look forward into getting, for example. Definitely not a bad part if you guys are building something upon this one. Stat wise, definitely pretty high. We're looking at 8k, so definitely really good. Word tag wise, definitely a very standard package. Protect, or not protect, excuse me. High firepower, close combat, add on just add on protect and you're set, pretty much good to go. I will have to say right now, in terms of trying to force run mobile fighter, in terms of overall attack, it's not that it's bad. It's just that so many condition nowadays does not really support that. You have so many condition that says, oh, close combat, protect, definitely, you know, you run it. And let's say you have high mobility, it's just kind of hard to run it. I know that mobile fighter gives like an extra 5% compared to close combat, high firepower, high mobility, and whatsoever, but it's just like is it easy to run? Like how accessible, right? So that's why I think head part definitely solid, top tier. So yeah, if you guys are able to get the head, definitely alterate it. Just I would have to say, since this one is a big scale, so any part you're looking at is definitely, it's gonna make a great you know, stab battery. Whether or not you're gonna put this in your main slot, have something sub-slotted whatsoever. So the head part, definitely a fairly phenomenal part. So moving over to the torso, in terms of overall stat, you guys can see that there's no beam resistance, but I guess in terms of rebalancing it, we are seeing a quite a substantial high, you know, armor, so that's quite good. Overall flat out melee 6k, and then pair that with a 9k defense, so that's why we are up to a 9,934. So looking pretty good. So in terms of the overall word tag, you have high mobility, close combat, so definitely, you know, great condition, or great pairing once again. In terms of the overall kind of, you know, the portrait wise over here, so this is going to be a double enemy cut right here. So so this build is doing a lot. So this build is like a anti, let's say your enemy trying to reduce your power. So this literally cuts, like this right here is literally stripping 65% in total. So basically, since this one is all power, so that's affecting your melee, shot, and EX skill. So this one is kind of good. So let's say if you want to do like a friend battle, for example, and you're running like, let's say, you know, your friend has a pretty good amount of, let's say, an enemy power reduced whatsoever, and then you run this one, you literally strips 30%, and then 30, and then 35%. So it's a fun trade overall, but I think if you're looking at something that's powerful for example, you would definitely go for something that gives out like a 40%. The one that has like 40% is this one over here, the Galleon. This one is good. This one has a double 40% trait. Some other noticeable one, we can be looking at, let's say, the Aegis Knight. These one are good as well. Some additional one, maybe, you know, this one is not even that bad at all. The Quantifiable Saber, you're only missing 5% to max out at, you know, let's say 40% whatsoever. So these are some good options that you can be looking at, for example. So yeah, I think that is pretty much it in terms of, like, you know, quote unquote meta party we're looking at. So I mean, like, you can look at this one to start winning as well, but I mean, like, this one is shot oranges, so you're definitely not going to look into that. So those are definitely going to be some other additional option, but in terms of this one is definitely for a fun build for sure. It's just like a casual, you know, like a friend battle, you want to just kind of reduce your enemy stuff. So overall, if you guys are alterating this one, let's say purely for the stat wise, I think definitely a kind of like a good option as well. Kind of keep that in mind. This one does have an alternative attribute, so you can definitely get the Destiny, the S attribute. So pretty much have the same thing. Instead of having high mobility, you trade that out with high firepower. So torso wise, I would have to say, in terms of, like, you know, do you need it on the spot? Like, let's say you only have like a little bit of L badges, I will not put the torso, like, you know, on the pedestal, for example. So Moving over to the arm, man, like look at this, 9,600. Like, are you kidding me? That is like roughly about 1,500 above some of your other. Like, keep that in mind. This one is also a big scale. Big scale, 19K. Please, what are we doing here? So, just kind of compare a little bit to some of your other big scale that are like on the roster. You have Quantico Saber. Like, this one is only at 17. Like, oh my gosh, you're like roughly about 1,900 away. Like, what are they planning over here? So, but kind of keep that in mind. There is definitely going to be a trade-off by having a a stat like that. In terms of, let's compare these two, for example, just because they're like literally right next to each other. In terms of this one is packing a double 40% trade already. So if you know how to make a good build, for example, let's say on a perfect condition, you were able to pull 2 copies of the Quantum Full Saber arm, you will alterate one of them and then subslot an alterated version. So in terms of the subslot, you're getting a whopping 50.5%. So that is the benefit of these right here having a outlandishly good portrait already, while this one over here, like, best of luck trying to get a good subslot partner for this one. Look at that, look at those condition for urban area. Like, okay, that's definitely a great curveball right there. So overall, they pack it with EXQ, unfortunately, and offensive up Gamma. That's the Gamma side, right? Yeah, so this one is simply gonna raise your melee and shot attack up your squad by 49%. So why are they packing that on a unit like this? So that is really unfortunate, but definitely I would go for this one anyway, just because the stat is pretty good. So in terms of me personally, if I was able to pull the arm in this summoning section right here, what I'll do, I would put this one on main slot and then pair that up with the Gundam Harut, this one up here, because this one is giving up premium buff EXQ effects. So that's why I can pair this one up, and ta-da, this one does have a good matching there, high mobility. So that's kind of like what I would do personally. And then let's kind of take a look at some of your other option in terms of what's a good arm that we can be looking at. Specifically, you have something that's not even that old. You have the double XM riser that's also packing a double 40% trade, so that's actually pretty good. Some other one, I think that is pretty much it in terms of quote-unquote meta type kind of portrait. So now you have this one. I call this one like, it's kind of like the supporting type, like giving you that massive boosting in terms of stat, but you're not really rocking any good trait. So overall, it's not really complete yet in terms of overall package. So that's why this one, if you look at this one and this one, I will have to say they are going to be a better option. If you guys would have those already, and definitely a better option. But overall stat, this one is crazy. So if you guys do happen to pull it, could be a good option for a later use. So moving over to the leg, so the leg is going to be another interesting option for some of your CD reduction type build. So let's kind of start things off by portrait level 1. So you are already starting out at 6 or 12%, just because both of them is offering a EXQ CD reduce. So that's actually quite good. The last time we have something of a double up like that was actually back to the torso section. The last one that we have gotten was the crossbone X1, so full cloth. Unfortunately, you can't double up both of them because the destiny that we're looking at is a tech attribute, and then the crossbone full cloth, that's a speed attribute. So that is a very unfortunate factor. Like, when I saw this leg right out of the bat, I was like, oh, we can pair that up maybe with the X1 full cloth, but realizing, oh, it has a kind of like a specific attribute condition. So that was like big sigh right there. I was just like, unfortunate. So this one is overall pretty good. So if you guys are planning to go for like a limited suit or limited part that has these cooldown reduction type part right here, this one could be something that you want to work on if you are mainly, let's say, tech attribute. So there's really not much to say about this one, simply the fact that this one is doubling up. So overall stat wise, a pretty high armor. That's pretty much justified because of the fact that they completely took out any shot attack and then any beam resistance. So that's why in terms of the overall, like the parameter, it looks really really balanced out to good melee attack, good melee defense, and then good armor as well. So not bad overall for elite pieces. So definitely something, this is pretty much going to be on a personal basis whether or not you want this one for your cooldown reduction type build. Just kind of keep that in mind in terms of upgrading these. It's going to be tough. If you don't have those, let's say portrait upgrade number for example, or if you don't have a lot of those grove hanger tickets, for example, trying to get this one maxed out could be hard. So that's why if you guys are planning to go for like a cooldown reduction type build, I generally suggest you guys going for either standard part or even event part that have those 20%. I know that this one is doubling up, so it could be very enticing, but just kind of keep that in mind on the other perspective. The upgrading, just the investment fee could be a little bit expensive, but you can, then the counter argument is that this one is like doubling up, so you can kind of save one, like two investment into one. So something you can definitely look into if you guys so do choose so. Alright, so moving over to the backpack now. So backpack wise and total overall stat, we are looking at 10k, so that's pretty high. Kind of keep that in mind, there is no beam resistance. So in terms of the overall, kind of like reorganizing the overall stat, you do continue to see some pretty overall good, you know, armor pieces, so that's actually great. Great melee attack and great defense as well, so not bad overall. So this one is going to be a packing the same EX kit, the Arcade Knife. So this one, I believe they're packing 2 additional effects, I recall, or just one. They actually, let me check. Let's check the Destiny, if you can see it. Looking at the old Destiny, the speed attribute does not have a health recovery, so looks like this one is the better case scenario. So this one is packing a health recovery up by a 48%, so that's pretty good. So I mean, other than that, that's pretty much the same on EXQ, so not much to talk about. Mobile side is pretty good, so if you guys do need this one for some, for example, definitely not a bad option. You do have some pretty good war tag kind of synergy right there. You can do a lot of things with this one, a lot of good pairings, so you can definitely get some good portrait at the end of the day. Something like this one, if you guys do have, let's say, the crossbow X1 full cloth, you can get that 40%. Does share one specific war tag, so that's good. Some other one that you can also look at is the Raven final battle type. So this one does have high firepower as well, so you can definitely do a lot of options out here. I think those are the only two at the moment that has your 40% trait. Not to mention you do have Seda, but Seda is a big scale, so you can't technically pair them up together all that right. So overall pretty good in terms of the stat, so definitely gonna make a great stat battery just for a lot of build. So jumping straight to the shoe aspect first. So in terms of the overall shoe, this one is actually pretty good. In any sense, I will have to say, like I mentioned, I have a very love and hate relationship with this one, just because of the fact that they threw in my favorite kind of portrait condition. The buff EXQ effects up by 35%. Unfortunately, we are stuck with a enemy all power reduced. So unfortunately, you're not gonna get that max out Omega low power boosting within this one compared to, let's say, the Castle Shoe. Because the Castle Shoe, I believe, is like EXQ boosting for the slot 30%, and then this effects but 30% as well. So overall, this one, if you stack the EXQ that has attack buffing, for example, you are gonna get 105%, while if you look at the Castle Shield, that one is stacking at only 90%. But in terms of the Castle Shield, you also do have a 30% EXQ power boosting. So this one, in terms of overall portrait, still loses. So I'm like, man, they were out here trying to draw him. So I'm just like, unfortunate. But in terms of overall stat, pretty good. It is still stacking in place next to the Star Build Strike. So that's okay, pretty good overall. So this one does have some pretty good, you know, war tags, so you can do a lot of good sub-slotting. For example, you can throw that into the round shoe. So this one had that premium 40% trait. So that's pretty good. You also do have, do we have other one? Oh, like this one as well. You can stick these two because like both of them. Oh, hold up, which one has? Oh, look at this one. I think Cold Sword definitely has the better advantage in terms of overall stat, but portrait wise, they're definitely losing out to the round shield. That is should be the Wing Zero Priestcraft version. But yeah, you can you definitely do have some options. Honestly, these two are pretty good overall. But yeah, stat wise, definitely pretty good. So definitely a pretty, you know, decently choice for an alteration. Just because in terms of shield slot, for example, we just don't have too many big scale, for example, so this one does make a great candidate if you do need something. So not bad overall. So moving over to some fun portraits. So so I guess in terms of this blade, you know, the archetype here, so they are starting to move over to the 50% trait. So In terms of like, just any investment at this point in time, I don't know if it's even right to invest right before the anniversary, for example. This because of the fact that you're starting to get like once you start seeing these right here, eventually they are gonna double up to like a full 50-50 split. So in terms of investing, I will definitely say hold up for now, just because there's just so many uncertainty at this point in time. Like we don't know what kind of anniversary suit they'll be rocking. Like, are they gonna start rolling out these 50%, portraits? So this is, I will have to say, take as a warning. Just kind of keep that in mind. Meta is going to change once again. So in terms of, just look at this one, base level 1. This one is popping out a flat out 30%. So look at some of your other portrait. They start out flat EX skill or portrait level 1 at 20% or even 17%. So this one maxing out at 30% is quite a good utility right out the spot. So just for anyone that does not, just don't have the investment resources, for example, this one is pretty much good to go. You're gonna start hitting like a truck with that 30% already. But I guess the unfortunate factor is they pack a great secondary portrait with another enemy power reduce, just like the shoe. So overall, if anyone does pull this one, I think it does make a very good usability, just because of the fact that when you do have high mobility active, you're getting a straight up 30% to anything. Melee attack, shooting attack, you name it. So this one overall is still a very good, sword to be looking at, honestly. Just max out, you're getting up to a 50%, which is kind of nuts. So overall, if you guys are able to pull this one, you need this one for like a mission, for example. I think this is a fairly good option to looking at. It's just unfortunate they went ahead and kind of fumbled it with a enemy power reduction type. So kind of unfortunate. They're like juggling like with this overall build. They want to do everything, right? They want power, they want reduction. So yeah, it's just unfortunate that they could not put all reduction in one part and then all power in one part. So kind of like a you can't, like more or less like a beggar can be choosers type of situation. So definitely not a bad option. That was definitely pretty good. This one also going to be a blade category. So in terms of big skill, getting blade category, it's not a bad option. Definitely could make a great utility for some later stuff that is a blade category and not a big skill. So not bad overall. Alright, so last but not least, let's kind of take a look at the high energy beam rifle here. So in terms of the overall high energy beam rifle, it's not going to be anything too crazy, I would have to say. So this is definitely going to be one of those cooldown part right here, like literally cooldown. Like this is not anything too hype. So in terms of overall portrait, we are getting another one of these, like enemy shooting power reduced. So like I said again, they're juggling too many stuff into this build that they're not really focusing on any specific things. So in terms of the secondary portrait, it's definitely a very good supporting type portrait. So when you have a job license that is self-fighter, you are going to be able to provide squad EXQ boosting by 30%. So that's always going to be helpful in any given situation. So that's always going to be good. First portrait is just one of those just like why, like they definitely fumbled it. Like I will have to say the best shoe in the game, like for melee at the moment, with a kind of like a down bad portrait. Like I don't know why. So these three are definitely definitely a hard fumble, I would have to say. I guess the best part that we are looking at from the side is definitely the head part. No question asked, double 40% trait, just pretty high stats. I guess second in place, definitely going to be a shield, definitely pretty high stat as well. Portrait wise, definitely a little bit slip up, I guess. Arm part, I will have to say, definitely pretty good in stats. So if you do make some good subside for example, good subside, good portrait, you guys are definitely in the business to picking a pretty solid melee build. And then overall, in terms of the other stuff that we're looking at, they're purely, big scale, kind of keep that in mind. They are purely going to be, for like whatever occasion you need that for specifically. So you don't need to alterate it on the spot for example, but they just kind of keep that in mind. Not all of them are kind of up on par for example, and just kind of keep that in mind. Anniversary just literally right around the corner, so we just don't know what kind of stuff that they can be packing. So with that being said, that is going to be pretty much it in terms of the Alteration review for the tech attribute Destiny Gundam. So I will catch you guys all on the next one.